The morning sun rose over Harmony Colony like it had every day for the past 15 years. Jake Morrison stood on his office balcony, watching the golden light spread across the green fields that stretched to the horizon. As governor of the colony, he felt proud of what 50,000 humans had built on this distant world called Kepler 442b. Jake sipped his coffee and smiled as he watched farmers heading to their fields. The colony had grown from a small outpost into a thriving community. Children ran to school while their parents went to work in the research labs, farms, and workshops that kept Harmony Colony running. It was everything the early colonists had dreamed of when they first landed here. Dr. Lisa Carter was already at work in her laboratory on the edge of town. She loved studying the strange plants and animals that lived on this planet. Her team included 3 humans and 2 Zephyrians, the friendly alien race that shared the southern part of the planet with them. The Zephyrians looked like tall, thin people with blue skin and large eyes. They were peaceful and curious, just like humans in many ways. Lisa examined a sample under her microscope while her Zephyrian colleague Veltar took notes. They had discovered dozens of new species together over the years. The work was exciting, and Lisa felt lucky to be part of something so important. The Galaxy Council often praised Harmony Colony as the perfect example of how humans and aliens could work together. Commander Ryan Blake walked through the colony's small security center, checking the daily reports. Crime was almost non-existent in Harmony Colony. The biggest problems were usually lost pets or minor accidents. Ryan's security force consisted of just 50 people, who mostly helped with emergencies and maintained the colony's defense systems. The defense systems were basic, but adequate. A few patrol ships, some ground-based sensors, and emergency shelters scattered throughout the colony. Ryan often wondered if they needed even that much protection. The Zephyrians were friends, and no other alien races lived nearby. The galaxy seemed peaceful, especially for a small farming colony like theirs. At the school, teacher Amy Rodriguez helped her students learn about Earth's history. The children were fascinated by stories of their home planet, even though most of them had been born on Kepler 442b. They asked endless questions about oceans, mountains, and animals they had never seen. Amy loved their curiosity and worked hard to keep Earth's memory alive in their young minds. The colony's main street bustled with activity as people went about their daily business. Ben Parker ran the general store where colonists bought everything from tools to treats. His wife Carol managed the colony's communication center, keeping in touch with other human settlements and Earth itself. Their teenage son Alex helped both parents while dreaming of becoming a pilot someday. In the agricultural district, farmer Joe Williams checked his crops with satisfaction. The wheat was growing well and the vegetables looked healthy. His team of workers, both human and Zephyrian, had learned to work the alien soil over many seasons. They produced enough food to feed the entire colony and still had surplus to trade with their Zephyrian neighbors. The Zephyrians lived in elegant towers made of crystalline material that grew from the ground like trees. Their leader, Counselor Zareth, often visited the human settlement to discuss trade agreements and cultural exchanges. The 2 species shared knowledge, food, art, and friendship. Many humans had learned to speak the Zephyrian language, and several Zephyrians spoke perfect English. Dr. Carter finished her work for the day and joined her husband Tom at their favorite restaurant. Tom worked as an engineer, maintaining the colony's power systems and machinery. They talked about their research while enjoying dinner made from local ingredients. Life was good, peaceful, and full of promise for the future. Jake Morrison reviewed the colony's monthly reports in his office that evening. Population was stable and happy. Production was meeting all targets. Relations with the Zephyrians remained excellent. Crime was at record lows. Health services were keeping everyone fit and well. The colony's school was producing smart, capable young people who would lead the next generation. The reports also showed that Harmony Colony was becoming more important to Earth and other human settlements. Their agricultural research was helping colonies throughout human space grow better crops. Their peaceful relationship with the Zephyrians was being studied and copied by other mixed communities. Several Galaxy Council members had visited recently and praised the colony's success. As night fell, families gathered in their homes for dinner and relaxation. Children played games while parents discussed the day's work. Teenagers hung out at the community center, playing sports and music. Older residents sat on porches watching the alien stars appear in the dark sky above them. Commander Blake made his final rounds of the evening, checking that all systems were working properly. The colony's lights twinkled like earthly stars across the landscape. Everything was quiet and peaceful. His security teams reported no problems anywhere in the settlement or surrounding areas. It was just another normal night in paradise. Jake Morrison stood once more on his balcony before going to bed. The colony slept peacefully under the alien stars, unaware that their perfect world was about to change forever. In the distance, Zephyrian tower lights glowed softly blue, a reminder of the friendship that made this place special. The governor felt grateful for the life they had built here. 50,000 humans living in peace with their alien neighbors, working together to build something beautiful and lasting. Tomorrow would bring another day of progress and cooperation. The future looked bright for Harmony Colony and all who called it home. None of them knew that ships were already moving through space toward their world. None of them suspected that their peaceful existence was about to end in fire and blood. The Galaxy Council had made a decision about humanity, and Harmony Colony would be the first to learn what that decision meant. But tonight they slept in peace, dreaming of tomorrow's possibilities and the bright future they would build together. Ambassador Helen Torres sat in her office on Nexus Prime, the Galaxy Council's capital world, reading through diplomatic reports when her communication console flashed red. Emergency priority messages always made her nervous, especially when they came directly from the council chambers during a closed session. The message that appeared on her screen made her blood run cold. Resolution 2847 had passed by a vote of 47-3. The resolution declared humanity a clear and present danger to galactic peace, and authorized immediate military action against human settlements. Helen stared at the words, unable to believe what she was reading. The evidence presented to the council was damning but completely false. It claimed humans were developing planet-killing weapons in secret laboratories. It said human colonies were being fortified for aggressive expansion. It alleged that Earth was planning to conquer the galaxy through force. Helen knew every word was a lie, but the council had voted to believe it anyway. She tried to contact Governor Morrison on Harmony Colony, but the communication channels were already being jammed. Her calls to other human settlements met the same interference. Someone was cutting humanity's connections across the galaxy at the same time the vote was taking place. This was not justice. This was a planned attack. Captain Nick Foster was loading supplies onto his cargo ship Starbound when the first alien vessels appeared in Kepler 442b's sky. He had been delivering farming equipment to Harmony Colony for 5 years and knew the system well. These ships were not on any scheduled arrival list, and they were definitely not friendly traders or explorers. The alien fleet was massive, easily 100 ships of various sizes. Most were Krathari vessels, sleek and black with weapon ports already opening. The Krathari were known for their military strength and their hatred of other species. Seeing them in such numbers above a peaceful farming colony made Nick's stomach turn with dread. He tried to contact the colony's control tower but got only static. The aliens were jamming everything electronic across the entire system. His cargo ship's sensors showed energy weapons charging on the alien vessels. Whatever they planned to do, it was going to happen soon and it was going to be violent. Down on the planet's surface, Jake Morrison was having lunch with his staff when the lights flickered and went out. Emergency power kicked in a moment later, but their communication systems remained dead. Through his office window, he could see people pointing at the sky where dark shapes moved among the clouds. Commander Blake rushed into the governor's office with grim news. His security sensors had detected a large fleet in orbit before everything was jammed. The ships matched Krathari military designs, heavily armed and clearly hostile. Blake had already ordered his small security force to battle stations, but they had almost no weapons capable of fighting warships in space. Dr. Carter was in her laboratory when the power failed. She managed to send one last data transmission to Earth before the jamming took effect. A packet containing 15 years of research that she hoped someone would find useful. As she watched the alien shadows move across the sky, she realized her peaceful life of discovery was about to end. The Zephyrian counselor Zareth arrived at Jake's office within an hour. His normally calm face twisted with worry and fear. He brought terrible news from his people's communications with the attacking fleet. The Krathari commander had ordered all Zephyrians to evacuate the planet immediately. or be considered enemies as well. Zareth's voice shook as he explained what little he knew. The Galaxy Council had declared humans a threat based on evidence his people knew was false. The Krithari were acting as the Council's enforcers, with orders to eliminate all human presence on Kepler 442b. It was not a battle or a war. It was meant to be a massacre. Jake Morrison felt his world collapse around him as he realized the truth. 50,000 innocent people were about to die because the Galaxy Council had chosen to believe lies about humanity. Children would die, families would be destroyed, and 15 years of peaceful progress would be erased in a single day. He managed to activate the colony's emergency broadcast system before the jamming intensified further. His message was simple and desperate. "This is Governor Morrison. We are under attack by Krithari forces acting on Galaxy Council orders. We are civilians, not soldiers. We have no weapons of mass destruction. We are not a threat to anyone. If anyone receives this message, tell Earth what happened here." Captain Foster watched helplessly from his ship as the first energy beams lanced down from space. The aliens were targeting the colony's power plants, communication centers, and any building that looked important. Explosions bloomed across the landscape like deadly flowers, turning dreams into nightmares in seconds. Commander Blake tried to organize a defense with his pathetic collection of security weapons and civilian vehicles. Some of the farmers had hunting rifles, and there were a few industrial tools that might work as weapons. Against an entire Krithari battle fleet, it was like trying to stop a tsunami with a bucket. The orbital bombardment continued for hours, methodical and thorough. The aliens were not trying to capture anything or anyone. They were trying to destroy every trace of human presence on the planet. Schools exploded into rubble. Homes became craters. The beautiful farms that had fed 50,000 people turned into smoking wasteland. Dr. Carter huddled in her laboratory's basement with her team, listening to the destruction above. The building shook with each nearby explosion, and dust rained from the ceiling. Her Zephyrian colleagues wept openly, ashamed of their species' inability to stop this atrocity. As night fell over the burning colony, the bombardment finally stopped. But Captain Foster's sensors detected new movement in the sky. Transport ships were descending from the Krithari fleet, carrying soldiers to finish what the orbital weapons had started. The massacre was entering its second phase. Jake Morrison gathered his surviving staff in the emergency shelter beneath the government building. They had lost contact with most of the colony, but scattered reports suggested thousands were already dead. The attack had been swift, precise, and utterly ruthless. He looked at the faces around him and saw the same question in everyone's eyes. Why? Why had their peaceful existence triggered such hatred? Why had the Galaxy Council chosen to destroy them instead of investigating the truth? Why did 50,000 innocent people have to die for crimes they never committed? The answers would not matter to the dead. War Commander Thexval stood on the bridge of his flagship, watching the smoking ruins of Harmony Colony through the viewscreen. The orbital bombardment had been perfectly executed, destroying most human infrastructure while leaving the planet suitable for future colonization. Now came the more personal work of eliminating every human survivor. His ground forces were already landing in transport ships across the burning landscape. 2,000 Krithari soldiers equipped with advanced weapons and armor would hunt down any humans who had survived the bombardment. The orders were clear: no prisoners, no mercy, no exceptions. Every human on the planet had to die. Commander Blake crawled through the rubble of what used to be the colony's main security building. Half his security force was dead, killed when the building collapsed during the bombardment. The survivors had scattered across the colony, trying to organize some kind of resistance with whatever weapons they could find. His radio crackled with desperate reports from across the settlement. Alien soldiers landing near the school. They're burning everything they can't destroy. We need weapons. Any kind of weapons. Blake felt helpless as he listened to his people face impossible odds with nothing but courage and determination. Mitchell had been working in the colony's underground maintenance tunnels when the attack began. The engineer now led a group of 30 civilians through the dark passages beneath the ruined streets. His knowledge of the tunnel system was their only hope of reaching the evacuation ships that some Zephyrians were secretly preparing. The tunnels echoed with the sounds of battle from above. Explosions, gunfire, and screaming filtered down through ventilation shafts. Sam kept his group moving, knowing that stopping meant death for everyone he was trying to save. Behind him, parents carried sleeping children while trying to stay quiet enough to avoid detection. Medic Katie Walsh set up a makeshift hospital in the basement of a partially collapsed apartment building. The wounded kept coming, carried by friends and family members who risked their lives to save others. Katie worked with whatever medical supplies she could salvage, trying to keep people alive in conditions that would challenge any doctor. Her patients ranged from children with broken bones to adults with severe burns from the energy weapons. Katie treated them all with equal care while listening to the battle rage overhead. Through the broken ceiling, she could see the glow of fires spreading across the colony that had been her home for 8 years. The Krathari soldiers moved through the ruins like hunters tracking prey. Their advanced sensors could detect human life signs through walls and debris. When they found survivors, they killed them quickly and efficiently before moving on to the next location. This was not war. It was extermination. Young Alex Parker had been helping his mother at the communication center when the bombardment started. Now he ran through burning streets trying to reach the school where his girlfriend studied. Behind him, Krathari soldiers pursued 3 human survivors who had tried to fight back with hunting rifles against military-grade weapons. Alex dove behind an overturned car as energy bolts sizzled past his head. The aliens were methodical in their slaughter, checking every building and searching every hiding place. They killed wounded humans who could not run and murdered children who cried too loudly. Nothing human would be allowed to survive. Governor Morrison had lost contact with most of his colony, but the reports he received painted a picture of systematic genocide. The Krathari were not just killing humans. They were destroying everything humans had built or touched. 15 years of progress was being erased in 3 days of calculated destruction. Dr. Carter stayed with her research team in the laboratory basement, knowing they had nowhere to run. Her Zephyrian colleagues had offered to claim the humans as their prisoners, but the Krathari were killing any aliens who tried to help. The basement became a tomb where they waited for the inevitable end. She spent her final hours writing in her journal, documenting the atrocity for anyone who might someday find her body. "They are not soldiers," she wrote. "They are murderers. They kill children and laugh. They burn libraries and destroy art. This is not conquest. This is the elimination of everything human." Commander Blake made his last stand at the colony's elementary school, where 200 humans had gathered, hoping the aliens would spare a place full of children. The Krathari showed no such mercy. They surrounded the building and set it on fire, shooting anyone who tried to escape the flames. Blake died fighting with a broken rifle and empty ammunition clips scattered around his body. His final radio transmission reached a few survivors hiding in the ruins. "Tell Earth we died as humans. Tell them we never stopped fighting. Tell them to make the bastards pay." Sam Mitchell led his group through 12 hours of underground navigation, avoiding Krathari patrols and collapsing tunnels. When they finally reached the hidden Zephyrian landing site, only 17 of the original 30 civilians were still alive. Exhaustion, injuries, and fear had claimed the rest along the way. The Zephyrian rescue ships were small and could carry only a few dozen humans each. Counselor Zareth risked his own life to coordinate the evacuation, knowing the Krathari would kill him if they discovered his involvement. His people managed to save 847 humans from the massacre, less than 2% of the colony's population. Katie Walsh was among the last evacuees, refusing to leave until she could no longer help the wounded. She carried medical records and DNA samples from the dead, evidence that would someday be needed to identify the victims. Her hand shook as she sealed the containers, knowing she was holding all that remained of thousands of lives. War Commander Thexaval walked through the ruins of Governor Morrison's office on the 3rd day. The human leader's body lay beneath fallen debris, still clutching a photograph of his family on Earth. Thexaval felt satisfaction at completing his mission so efficiently. Harmony Colony had been eliminated as thoroughly as if it had never existed. The Krathari commander filed his final report to the Galaxy Council. Human settlement on Kepler 442b has been terminated. Infrastructure destroyed, population eliminated, planet ready for recolonization. No Krathari casualties. Mission completed successfully. He saw no need to mention the hundreds of dead children or the burning schools in his official documents. Captain Foster watched the last evacuation ship disappear into hyperspace, carrying the final survivors to safety among the Zephyrian worlds. His cargo vessel was too large to land safely, so he could only orbit the dead planet and bear witness to the greatest atrocity he had ever seen. Below him, smoke rose from the ruins of 50,000 dreams. The farms were poisoned, the homes were rubble, and the laboratories were ash. Everything humans had built over 15 years had been destroyed in 3 days. But the most terrible loss was not buildings or crops. It was the children who would never grow up, and the families who died together in the flames. The Krithari fleet departed as quickly as it had arrived, leaving behind a dead world and a message to the galaxy. Humanity was not welcome among the stars. Any humans who tried to build new colonies would face the same fate as Harmony Colony. The Galaxy Council's will had been enforced with blood and fire. In the silence after the killing, only the wind moved through the ruins, carrying the ash of human dreams across the poisoned landscape. The Zephyrian rescue ship Windseeker arrived at Earth's orbital station 3 weeks after the massacre. Captain Foster had volunteered to escort the survivors home, his cargo hold modified to carry refugees instead of supplies. The journey had been quiet and painful, filled with nightmares and tears from people who had lost everything they loved. Admiral Tony Roberts received the refugees personally at Luna Station. As head of Earth Space Command, he had dealt with many crises over his 30-year career, but nothing had prepared him for the broken survivors of Harmony Colony. Their stories seemed impossible, until he saw the video recordings and medical evidence they carried. Katie Walsh presented her medical reports to Earth's Health Authorities while Sam Mitchell shared technical data about the attack. The evidence was overwhelming and horrifying. Advanced military weapons used against civilian targets, children murdered in their schools, hospitals bombed while treating the wounded. It was not war, it was genocide. President Claire Adams called an emergency cabinet meeting after reviewing the initial reports. The footage from Harmony Colony showed scenes that would haunt humanity forever. Families burned alive in their homes, playgrounds turned into craters, libraries destroyed along with the knowledge they contained. The president struggled to maintain her composure as she watched the evidence. Intelligence officer Dana Mitchell worked around the clock to verify the survivors' accounts. She had access to Earth's most advanced surveillance systems and communication networks. What she discovered was even more disturbing than the massacre itself. The Galaxy Council had planned this attack months in advance based on completely fabricated, evidence-intercepted communications revealed the truth behind Resolution 2847. The Krithari Empire had provided false intelligence about human weapon development, claiming Earth was building planet-killing devices in secret laboratories. Other council members had supported the lies because they feared humanity's rapid expansion and technological progress. Dr. Paul Carter, brother of the murdered researcher, led a team investigating the wider conspiracy. His analysis of galactic communication patterns revealed that several other human colonies had gone silent in recent weeks. New Boston, Paradise Valley, and Green Hills had all stopped transmitting without explanation. The massacre at Harmony Colony was not an isolated incident. The evidence suggested a coordinated campaign to eliminate human presence throughout the galaxy. The Council had apparently decided that humanity posed a threat to their established order and needed to be destroyed before growing too powerful. 50,000 dead colonists were just the beginning of a larger genocide. Earth's population learned about the massacre through leaked footage that spread across every news network and social media platform. The images of dead children and burning schools sparked a rage unlike anything in human history. People who had never agreed on anything suddenly united in their demand for justice and revenge. President Adams addressed the United Nations in an emergency session broadcast to every corner of the globe. She stood behind the podium with photographs of the dead colonists arranged around her, their faces serving as silent witnesses to the atrocity. Her voice was calm, but her eyes burned with fury as she spoke. "Fellow humans," she began, "we face extinction. The Galaxy Council has declared war on our species based on lies and fear. They have murdered our children, destroyed our homes, and tried to erase our presence from the stars. They believe we will accept this genocide quietly and disappear into the darkness." The president's next words would echo through human space for generations. "They are wrong. We will not go quietly. We will not disappear. We will not forgive. The Galaxy Council has awakened something in humanity that they cannot understand and cannot defeat. They have made the greatest mistake in galactic history. Admiral Roberts began implementing emergency protocols that had been prepared for humanity's worst nightmares. Every spacefaring nation contributed ships and personnel to Earth's defense forces. Former enemies became allies overnight as the entire species faced existential threat. The military buildup was the largest in human history. Captain Foster volunteered to lead evacuation missions to the remaining human colonies. His knowledge of galactic trade routes and alien politics made him invaluable for sneaking past council patrols. The missions were dangerous but essential. Millions of human lives depended on reaching the colonies before the Crathary fleets arrived. Engineer Sam Mitchell worked with Earth's top scientists to reverse engineer alien technology recovered from Harmony Colony. The fragments of Crathari weapons and equipment provided crucial insights into their capabilities and weaknesses. Human ingenuity combined with alien technology would create weapons the Galaxy Council had never seen. Dr. Carter focused on biological warfare countermeasures. After discovering that some Council species were developing toxins specifically designed to kill humans, his research into alien biology revealed potential vulnerabilities that could be exploited if diplomacy failed. The knowledge was disturbing but necessary for survival. Dana Mitchell coordinated with resistance movements that were forming throughout Council space. Many alien species were horrified by the Harmony Colony massacre and secretly opposed their government's support for genocide. These underground networks would become crucial sources of intelligence and sabotage capabilities. The Zephyrians formally withdrew from the Galaxy Council and offered military alliance with Earth. Counselor Zareth arrived as their first official ambassador, bringing technical specifications for Council weapons and detailed star charts of their territory. The alliance was small but symbolically important as proof that not all aliens supported the genocide. Earth's industrial capacity shifted to war production as every factory and shipyard began building weapons and spacecraft. The planet's 8 billion people worked with single-minded determination to create the largest military force in human history. Resources that had been used for exploration and colonization were redirected toward instruments of war. President Adams established the Terran War Council with Admiral Roberts as supreme military commander. The council's mandate was simple: protect humanity by any means necessary. Traditional rules of warfare and diplomatic protocols were suspended in favor of species survival. The gloves were coming off. Intelligence reports confirmed that the Galaxy Council was preparing to attack Earth itself. A massive fleet was assembling in the Vega system, with ships contributed by dozens of alien species. The attack would come within months, designed to eliminate humanity's homeworld and end the species forever. But the aliens had made a critical error in their planning. They assumed humans would respond to the massacre with fear and submission, begging for mercy while accepting their fate as slaves or corpses. They did not understand that humans responded to existential threats with creativity, determination, and absolutely ruthless efficiency. The Galaxy Council had awakened humanity's survival instinct. Refined by millions of years of evolution and thousands of years of warfare, they had started a fight they could not win because they did not understand what they were fighting. Harmony Colony was humanity's first taste of galactic politics, but it would not be their last. Earth's children learned new songs about brave colonists who died fighting impossible odds. Earth's adults prepared for war with the cold fury of a species that had been pushed too far. The Galaxy Council would soon discover that genocidal attacks on peaceful civilians carried consequences they had never imagined. The United Nations building in New York had never seen anything like the emergency session that convened 6 weeks after the Harmony Colony massacre. Representatives from every nation on Earth sat in absolute silence as President Adams walked to the podium, carrying the weight of 8 billion human souls and the ghosts of 50,000 murdered colonists. The hall was decorated with images from Harmony Colony's 15 years of peaceful existence, contrasted with footage from the massacre. Children playing in alien sunlight, then children dying in alien fire, families sharing meals with their Zephyrian neighbors, then families burned alive in their homes. The visual testimony spoke louder than any words could. "We stand at the crossroads of human history," President Adams began, her voice carrying clearly to every corner of the packed assembly. The Galaxy Council has declared our species unfit to exist among the stars. They have murdered our children to make their point. They believe fear will make us abandon our dreams of exploring the universe. She paused, letting the weight of those words settle over the silent assembly. Today, humanity gives our answer. We reject their fear. We reject their hatred. We reject their right to decide who lives and who dies among the stars. Today, we declare that humanity will not only survive, but will ensure that no other species suffers the fate of Harmony Colony. The formation of the Terran War Council was announced with unanimous approval from every nation. Admiral Roberts stepped forward to accept command of humanity's combined military forces, his weathered face grim with the knowledge of what lay ahead. For the first time in human history, every space-capable nation would contribute ships and personnel to a single command structure. Russia offered its heavy assault vessels and nuclear specialists. China provided manufacturing capacity and electronic warfare expertise. The United States contributed its advanced space fighters and orbital defense platforms. Europe offered precision weapons technology and logistics coordination. Even smaller nations found ways to help, from intelligence networks to specialized personnel. Captain Foster, now promoted to admiral, took charge of the massive evacuation effort that would save millions of human lives from outer rim colonies. His fleet of converted cargo ships and volunteer civilian vessels raced against time to reach settlements before the Krathari fleets arrived. Every day of delay meant thousands more potential victims. The evacuation of New Boston took 18 hours of frantic loading, while Krathari scouts probed the system's edges. Admiral Foster's ships managed to rescue 40,000 colonists and most of their essential equipment before jumping to hyperspace moments ahead of the attacking fleet. The empty colony was destroyed just as thoroughly as Harmony had been. Engineer Sam Mitchell worked with Earth's greatest minds to design humanity's first true warships. The new vessels incorporated salvaged alien technology with human innovation, creating hybrid systems that no alien species had ever seen. Fusion reactors powered energy weapons that could punch through any known armor. Quantum computers coordinated defensive systems that could track thousands of targets simultaneously. The first prototype battleship, New Harmony, rolled out of Earth's Luna shipyards just 3 months after construction began. The vessel represented everything humanity had learned about alien technology, combined with human engineering excellence. Its weapons could devastate entire fleets, while its defenses could withstand sustained assault from multiple directions. Dr. Carter's research into alien biology produced disturbing but necessary knowledge about their enemies. The Krathari were reptilian creatures with enhanced strength and natural armor, but they were vulnerable to certain frequencies of sound and light. Other Council species had similar weaknesses that could be exploited by weapons designed specifically for their physiology. Intelligence Officer Dana Mitchell established contact with resistance groups throughout Galaxy Council territory. The underground network included Zephyrians who opposed the genocide, as well as members of other species who were horrified by the massacre. These allies provided crucial intelligence about Council military movements and political discussions. The resistance fighters reported that not all Council members supported the genocide. Several species had voted against Resolution 2847, and others were beginning to question the wisdom of making enemies of humanity. The political coalition supporting the war was strong but not unbreakable, especially if humans could demonstrate their military capabilities convincingly. Admiral Roberts revealed humanity's new military doctrine to the Terran War Council. The Total Response Protocol would target military installations and political leadership while sparing civilian populations. Unlike the aliens' genocidal tactics, humans would fight with honor while showing no mercy to those responsible for atrocities. The doctrine included specific provisions for war crimes tribunals and reconstruction, assistance for alien populations whose governments had participated in the massacre. Humanity would not become monsters in their quest for justice, but they would ensure that justice was served completely and permanently. Earth's industrial capacity expanded at unprecedented rates as entire continents converted to war production. Massive shipyards in orbit around Earth, Luna, and Mars worked around the clock to build the fleet that would carry human fury to the stars. Each ship carried the names of Harmony Colony victims, ensuring the dead would be remembered forever. The recruitment centers could not handle the flood of volunteers wanting to join humanity's military forces. Young and old, civilian and professional, people from every walk of life demanded the chance to serve their species in its hour of greatest need. Military training centers expanded to accommodate millions of new soldiers, pilots, and technicians. President Adams established the Human Guard as humanity's new peacekeeping force. Unlike traditional military units, the Guard would be responsible for protecting innocent civilians of all species from genocide and atrocity. Their mission would continue long after the current war ended, ensuring that Harmony Colony's fate never befell anyone else. The Zephyrian Alliance provided humanity with its first alien military technology and detailed intelligence about Council defenses. Counselor Zareth worked directly with Admiral Roberts to plan combined operations that would leverage both species' strengths against their common enemies. The partnership proved that humans could work with aliens who shared their values. Captain Foster's evacuation fleets managed to save over 4 million humans from 37 colonies before the Krathari reached them. The rescued populations were relocated to fortified positions throughout the Sol system, where they joined Earth's war effort with the desperate fury of people who had lost everything except their lives. The evacuees brought with them 15 years of experience living among the stars, plus detailed knowledge of alien technology and politics. Their expertise proved invaluable for planning military operations and understanding enemy capabilities. Every survivor became a teacher for those who would fight to avenge their losses. Earth's children learned new lessons in school about galactic politics and alien psychology. The curriculum emphasized critical thinking and species loyalty, while maintaining human values of justice and compassion. The next generation would inherit a galaxy where humanity's place had been secured through strength, rather than granted through mercy. As the first anniversary of Harmony Colony's destruction approached, humanity's war preparations neared completion. 500 warships waited in Earth's orbital shipyards, crewed by volunteers who carried the fury of 8 billion humans into battle. The Galaxy Council would soon learn that attacking humanity's children carried consequences beyond their comprehension. Admiral Roberts stood on the bridge of the flagship Humanity's Vengeance, looking out at the greatest fleet humanity had ever assembled. Tomorrow they would jump to hyperspace and carry their species' answer to the Galaxy Council. The answer was simple: you wanted a war and now you have one. Admiral Roberts stood before the assembled fleet commanders in the war room aboard Humanity's Vengeance. The holographic display showed the Galaxy Council's territory, with red markers indicating military targets and blue markers showing civilian populations. The planning for humanity's first strike had taken months of careful analysis and intelligence gathering. "Ladies and gentlemen," Admiral Roberts began, his voice carrying the authority of someone who had spent decades preparing for humanity's worst nightmares. "We are about to demonstrate something the Galaxy Council has never encountered. We will show them the difference between justice and genocide, between military precision and mindless slaughter." The Total Response Protocol was unlike anything the Galaxy had seen before. While the Council's forces targeted civilians to break enemy morale, humanity would strike exclusively at military installations and government facilities. Every target had been chosen to cripple the enemy's ability to make war while sparing innocent lives. Commander Blake, promoted from the ashes of Harmony Colony's security force, presented the intelligence gathered by human infiltration teams. The Krathari military maintained massive shipyards at Vega 7, protected by orbital defense platforms and a garrison of 50,000 soldiers. These were the same facilities that had built the ships used to destroy his home. The Vega 7 shipyards produce 60% of Krathari military vessels, Blake explained, his scarred hands steady despite the memories that haunted his sleep. Destroying this facility will cripple their ability to replace losses and force them to rely on older, less capable ships. More importantly, these are the bastards who built the ships that killed our families. Captain Foster, now commanding the battlecruiser New Harmony, studied the tactical projections with professional interest. The attack would require perfect coordination between multiple fleet elements, each with specific objectives and timing requirements. One mistake could turn victory into disaster, but success would send a message throughout the galaxy. The human fleet had grown to 200 ships, each one representing the industrial might and technological innovation of humanity's 8 billion people. The vessels carried weapons that combined human creativity with reverse-engineered alien technology, creating capabilities that no enemy had faced before. Engineer Sam Mitchell's revolutionary siege weapons had been installed on 12 heavy cruisers, specifically designed for attacking fortified positions. The weapons used focused gravitational fields to collapse enemy structures from within, requiring no external explosives or energy discharges. The technology was based on theoretical physics that most alien species considered impossible. Dr. Carter's biological warfare countermeasures had been distributed throughout the fleet, protecting human crews from toxins specifically designed to target their species. The countermeasures also included offensive capabilities that could incapacitate enemy crews without killing them, allowing for capture and interrogation of war criminals. Intelligence Officer Dana Mitchell coordinated with resistance fighters throughout Council space, establishing safe houses and communication networks that would support human operations behind enemy lines. The underground network had grown to include members of 17 different species, all united by their opposition to genocide. The resistance provided real-time intelligence about enemy fleet movements and political developments within the Council. This information allowed human commanders to avoid unnecessary conflicts while focusing their forces on targets that would have maximum strategic impact. Admiral Foster's evacuation fleets had completed their mission, saving over 5 million humans from 42 colonies before the Crithari could reach them. The rescued populations were safely relocated to fortified positions throughout human space, where they joined the war effort with personal motivation for revenge against those who had destroyed their homes. President Adams addressed the fleet before their departure, her image broadcast to every ship through encrypted communications. Behind her stood the flags of every human nation, united for the first time in history by a common threat and shared determination to survive as a species. "You carry with you the hopes and fury of 8 billion humans," she told the assembled crews. "You also carry the responsibility to show the galaxy what humanity truly represents. We are not genocidal monsters who target children and civilians. We are warriors who fight with honor while showing no mercy to those who commit atrocities." The president's words were accompanied by images from Harmony Colony, showing both the peaceful life that had been destroyed and the horrific massacre that had followed. Every crew member had memorized the faces of the victims, carrying their memory into battle as motivation for what lay ahead. Commander Blake's intelligence teams had identified War Commander Thexval as the primary architect of the Harmony Colony massacre. The Crithari officer would be captured alive if possible, to face trial for war crimes before being executed publicly. His death would serve as a warning to other species considering genocide against human populations. The human fleet included specialized ships designed for different aspects of the coming campaign. Fast attack vessels would strike at enemy supply lines and communication networks. Heavy battleships would engage enemy fleets in direct combat. Support vessels would provide medical care, repairs, and resupply capabilities for extended operations. Dr. Carter had developed psychological warfare techniques based on alien psychology and communication patterns. Human broadcast would be transmitted throughout Council space, showing the reality of the Harmony Colony massacre alongside humanity's response. The propaganda would undermine enemy morale while strengthening resistance movements. The broadcasts included testimony from the Crithari soldiers who had participated in the massacre, obtained through interrogation of prisoners captured during evacuation operations. Their confessions revealed the systematic nature of the genocide and the pleasure some aliens had taken in murdering human children. Admiral Roberts reviewed the final preparations as his fleet prepared to enter hyperspace. The journey to Vega 7 would take 6 days, giving the crews time to rest and prepare for what would be humanity's first major military action in galactic space. The outcome would determine whether humans fought as equals or died as victims. The Zephyrian Alliance had provided detailed technical specifications for Council weapons and defensive systems, allowing human engineers to design countermeasures and exploit weaknesses. The information proved that the enemy's technology was advanced, but not invulnerable to human innovation and determination. Captain Foster stood on the bridge of New Harmony, watching the stars streak past as the fleet traveled through hyperspace toward their first target. Around him, his crew worked with quiet efficiency, each person focused on their role in the coming battle. They were no longer the peaceful colonists they had once been. They were humanity's sword of justice. The ship's memorial wall displayed photographs of every person killed at Harmony Colony, their faces serving as constant reminders of why this war was necessary. Foster touched the image of Governor Morrison, remembering the man who had tried so hard to build a better future for humanity among the stars. As the fleet approached Vega 7, Admiral Roberts broadcast his final message to the crew. "We go into battle not as conquerors but as liberators. We fight not for territory or resources but for the right of all peaceful species to exist without fear. The Galaxy Council will learn today that humanity's fury burns hotter than any star." The Battle of Vega 7 was about to begin, and with it, the galaxy's first taste of what happened when humans fought with both honor and absolute determination to win. The human fleet dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the Vega 7 system, like avenging angels emerging from the darkness. Admiral Roberts watched the tactical display as 200 human warships spread into attack formation, their weapons charging and shields activating in perfect coordination. The Crithari shipyards hung in space ahead of them, unaware that humanity's fury was about to be unleashed. Captain Foster commanded the lead attack group aboard New Harmony, his ship named for the colony that had been murdered in cold blood. Behind him flew 36 other vessels, each one crewed by volunteers who carried personal reasons for fighting this war. The battle would be their first chance to make the aliens pay for what they had done to innocent human families. The Crithari defense fleet consisted of 47 ships arranged in defensive formations around their precious shipyards. These were experienced military vessels with battle-hardened crews, but they had never faced human weapons or human tactics. They were about to learn why attacking humanity's children was the worst mistake the Galaxy Council had ever made, Commander. Blake coordinated the assault from his position aboard the heavy cruiser Justice's Edge. His tactical computers displayed real-time data from human scout ships that had been observing the system for weeks. Every enemy position was known, every weakness had been identified, and every target had been prioritized for maximum strategic impact. The battle began with a coordinated strike by humanity's long-range siege weapons. Engineer Sam Mitchell's gravitational field generators targeted the orbital defense platforms protecting the shipyards, collapsing their internal structure without warning or visible attack. The massive stations simply crumpled like paper cups, their debris drifting harmlessly into space. Crithari commanders screamed orders to their fleets as their supposedly impregnable defenses vanished in seconds. They had never encountered weapons that could destroy structures from within, bypassing shields and armor entirely. Their tactical doctrine had no response to technology they did not understand and could not counter. Admiral Foster's fast attack squadron swept through the outer system, targeting communication arrays and supply depots with precision strikes. Human fighters danced between enemy vessels, their pilots trained in tactics developed specifically for fighting larger, slower alien ships. The humans were outnumbered but not outmatched. The main battle erupted when the Crithari fleet engaged Captain Foster's battleships in direct combat. Energy weapons lit space with deadly rainbows as the two forces clashed at close range. Human shields held against alien firepower while human weapons punched through enemy armor with devastating efficiency. Dr. Carter's biological warfare countermeasures proved their worth when Crithari ships attempted to deploy toxins designed to kill human crews. The alien weapons had no effect on protected humans, while counter-toxins delivered by human missiles incapacitated enemy crews without permanent harm. The aliens had prepared to fight monsters and found themselves facing honorable warriors instead. Intelligence Officer Dana Mitchell coordinated with resistance fighters throughout the system, who sabotaged Crithari supply lines and provided real-time intelligence about enemy movements. The underground network had grown stronger since Harmony Colony, fueled by disgust at the genocide they had witnessed. The Zephyrian squadron fighting alongside human forces proved that not all aliens supported the Council's genocidal policies. Their ships fought with desperate courage, knowing they would be branded as traitors by their own government but refusing to stand aside while justice was served. Commander Blake's assault group punched through the Crithari defensive line and began systematically destroying the shipyard facilities. Each docking bay that exploded had built ships used to murder human civilians. Each construction facility that collapsed had contributed to the fleet that destroyed Harmony Colony. The destruction was precise, methodical, and absolutely thorough. War Commander Thexval watched his command fall apart from the bridge of his flagship. The humans fought with a coordination and efficiency that surpassed anything in Chthari military doctrine. Their weapons were more advanced, their tactics were superior, and their motivation was something his species could not understand. The alien commander had expected humans to fight like primitive savages, using brute force and accepting massive casualties to achieve their objectives. Instead, he faced opponents who combined advanced technology with brilliant strategy, achieving maximum results with minimum losses. These were not the weak creatures the Council had expected to destroy easily. Captain Foster's new Harmony engaged Thexval's flagship in single combat, the two vessels circling each other while exchanging devastating volleys. The human ship's shields flared under alien fire, but its return shots punched through Chthari armor like paper. Foster fought with cold precision, knowing this alien had personally overseen the murder of 50,000 innocent people. The Chthari flagship's engines exploded under concentrated fire from human weapons, leaving the vessel drifting helplessly in space. Foster's boarding party secured the ship within minutes, capturing War Commander Thexval and his senior officers for transport back to Earth. The architect of the Harmony Colony Massacre would face justice before a human. Court Admiral Roberts coordinated the battle from his command ship, watching his forces execute their mission with professional excellence. The Vega 7 shipyards were completely destroyed, along with 43 Chthari military vessels and their escort fleets. Human casualties were remarkably light, with only 4 ships damaged and 37 crew members wounded. The battle's most important victory was not military, but psychological. Human forces had broadcast the engagement live throughout Galaxy Council space, showing alien populations exactly what happened when their governments chose genocide over diplomacy. The footage would undermine Council authority and strengthen resistance movements. Dr. Carter's psychological warfare broadcasts began immediately after the battle, transmitting the complete record of the Harmony Colony Massacre to every inhabited system in Council territory. The images of murdered children and burning schools were accompanied by footage of the Council's lies and the Chthari commander's confession. The broadcasts included messages from human survivors and Zephyrian witnesses, describing the peaceful life that had been destroyed by alien hatred and fear. The testimony was devastating to the Council's propaganda, which had portrayed humans as aggressive monsters threatening galactic peace. Admiral Foster's fleet continued its advance toward Nexus Prime, the Galaxy Council's capital world. Intelligence reports indicated that the Council's leadership was panicking as news of their military defeat spread throughout their territory. Several member species were reconsidering their support for the war against humanity. The resistance networks, coordinated by Dana Mitchell, launched simultaneous uprisings across 17 Council worlds, targeting government facilities and military installations. The underground fighters had been inspired by humanity's victories and encouraged by proof that the supposedly invincible Council could be defeated by determined opposition. Commander Blake's intelligence teams identified the locations of other officials responsible for ordering the Harmony Colony Massacre. The human fleet would visit each one personally, ensuring that every individual involved in the genocide faced consequences for their crimes. Justice would be served methodically and completely. Captain Foster stood on his bridge, looking out at the burning wreckage of the Vega 7 shipyards. The flames that consumed alien military facilities seemed to echo the fires that had destroyed Harmony Colony. But these flames carried different meaning. They were not the fire of genocide, but the fire of justice, burning away the darkness of unopposed evil. As the human fleet prepared for its next target, Admiral Roberts broadcast a message throughout the galaxy. This is Admiral Roberts of the Terran War Fleet. We have demonstrated today what happens to those who murder our children. We offer mercy to civilians and justice to warriors, but we promise death to anyone who commits genocide. The Galaxy Council started this war with lies and atrocities. We will end it with truth and justice. The galaxy was learning a lesson it would never forget. Humanity's fury, once awakened, burned with the heat of 1,000,000 suns. The Galaxy Council's formal surrender took place exactly 6 months after the Harmony Colony Massacre, aboard the flagship Humanity's Vengeance in orbit above the dead world. Admiral Roberts stood at the head of a long table in the ship's main conference room, watching as the surviving Council leadership filed in to sign the documents that would end their genocidal war. Captain Foster flanked the Admiral's right side, his dress uniform bearing the names of every victim from Harmony Colony, embroidered in golden thread. Commander Blake stood to the left, his scarred face a living reminder of the 3 days of horror that had started this conflict. Behind them, the conference room's view screen showed the ruins of the colony that had once been humanity's proudest achievement among the stars. War Commander Thexaval shuffled into the room in restraints, his once proud military bearing broken by months of imprisonment and the knowledge of his impending execution. The Crithari officer who had supervised the murder of 50,000 innocent people would face justice on Earth before a tribunal of species he had tried to exterminate. President Adams appeared on the main communication screen from Earth, her image transmitted across the galaxy to every inhabited world. Behind her stood representatives from every human nation, united in victory but sobered by the price of their triumph. The war had cost humanity dearly, but the alternative would have been extinction. The surrender ceremony began with a moment of silence for the victims of the massacre. Governor Morrison's photograph occupied the place of honor on the memorial table, surrounded by images of the children, teachers, farmers, and scientists who had died simply because they were human. Their faces served as silent witnesses to the justice being served in their names. Former Council Chancellor Vexthul signed the surrender documents with trembling appendages, his species' natural arrogance replaced by the desperate hope that cooperation might earn mercy from the conquering humans. The document formally dissolved the Galaxy Council and established humanity as the dominant military power in known space. Dr. Carter, now head of the Galactic Crimes Tribunal, read the charges against the Council leadership: genocide, crimes against sentient beings, conspiracy to commit mass murder, and violations of every civilized standard of warfare. The evidence was overwhelming, gathered from human intelligence networks and alien resistance fighters. Throughout the galaxy, the new Galactic Alliance Charter was presented for signing by representatives of 43 species who had either opposed the genocide or switched sides during the war. The document established principles of justice, individual rights, and species sovereignty that would govern relations between all civilized worlds. Engineer Sam Mitchell had designed the memorial fleet that would carry the story of Harmony Colony throughout the galaxy for generations to come. The ships were not warships but floating museums, equipped with the most advanced communication systems humanity could build. Every inhabited world would learn the truth about the massacre and its consequences. Intelligence Officer Dana Mitchell presented the evidence that had uncovered the full extent of the conspiracy against humanity. 17 species had actively participated in planning the genocide, while 28 others had provided support or remained silent despite knowing what was planned. Each would face appropriate consequences for their actions. The Crithari species was placed under human administration, their military completely disbanded, and their government replaced by a council of species they had oppressed. The occupation would continue until they demonstrated genuine commitment to peaceful coexistence and acceptance of responsibility for their crimes. Admiral Foster assumed command of the Human Guard, humanity's new peacekeeping force dedicated to preventing future genocides. The Guard's charter gave them authority to intervene in any conflict that threatened civilian populations, regardless of the species involved. Never again would innocent people face extermination while the galaxy stood by in silence. The trials of war criminals began immediately on Earth, broadcast live throughout the galaxy to demonstrate humanity's commitment to justice rather than revenge. The proceedings were fair but thorough, with each defendant given the opportunity to present their case before facing judgment for their crimes. Captain Foster led the first diplomatic mission to species that had remained neutral during the war, offering them membership in the new Galactic Alliance based on their commitment to peaceful coexistence and respect for individual rights. Many accepted eagerly, having witnessed humanity's military capabilities and preferring cooperation to conquest. The Zephyrian Alliance became humanity's closest partners in establishing the new galactic order. Counselor Zareth worked directly with President Adams to draft laws protecting civilian populations and establishing procedures for resolving disputes without warfare. Their species' courage in opposing genocide earned them special status as humanity's most trusted allies. Reconstruction efforts began on worlds damaged during the war, funded by reparations from species that had supported the genocide. Human engineering teams worked alongside alien volunteers to rebuild infrastructure and establish new governments based on democratic principles and respect for individual rights. The memorial on Harmony Colony's former site became a pilgrimage destination for beings from throughout the galaxy. The simple monument bore the names of every victim and the words "Never Again" translated into 47 languages. Visitors learned about the peaceful colony that had been destroyed and the war that followed. Education systems throughout human space incorporated lessons about the massacre and its aftermath, ensuring that future generations would understand both the price of peace and the consequences of allowing evil to go unchallenged. Children learned that vigilance and strength were necessary to protect the innocent from those who would destroy them. President Adams was elected as the first Supreme Chancellor of the new Galactic Alliance. Her leadership during humanity's darkest hour, earning respect from species throughout known space, her administration focused on preventing future conflicts while establishing institutions that would protect the rights of all sentient beings. Dr. Carter's research into alien psychology and sociology helped develop programs for integrating former enemy species into the new galactic community. The programs emphasized education, cultural exchange, and gradual rehabilitation rather than permanent punishment. Even enemies could be redeemed if they genuinely accepted responsibility for their actions. The Human Guard established bases throughout the galaxy, their presence serving as both protection for the innocent and warning to potential aggressors. The Guard's motto, taken from the last transmission of Governor Morrison, was simple but powerful. "We died as humans. We lived for peace. We fight for justice." Commander Blake retired from military service and returned to what remained of Harmony Colony, where he supervised the construction of a new settlement built around the memorial site. The new colony welcomed beings from all species who shared humanity's commitment to peaceful coexistence and mutual understanding. 10 years after the massacre, the galaxy had been transformed from a collection of competing empires into a cooperative alliance dedicated to justice and mutual prosperity. Trade flourished, scientific knowledge was shared freely, and conflicts were resolved through negotiation rather than warfare. The memorial ships continued their eternal journey through space, carrying the story of Harmony Colony to new worlds and newly discovered species. Each ship contained a complete record of the massacre, the war that followed, and the peace that emerged from the ashes of the old order. War Commander Thexveld died in prison on Earth, his execution carried out with the same methodical precision he had once applied to murdering human children. His last words, broadcast throughout the galaxy, were a warning to future generations. "Do not make the mistake my species made. Do not underestimate humanity's capacity for both mercy and justice." Admiral Roberts stood once more on the bridge of humanity's vengeance, now a museum ship orbiting Earth as a reminder of the price of freedom. The old warrior had lived to see his species transform from victims to protectors, from targets of genocide to guardians of galactic peace. The galaxy had learned the most important lesson in its history, that peaceful species were not weak, that mercy was not the same as submission, and that those who chose genocide would face consequences beyond their comprehension. Humanity had answered the Council's fury with fury of their own, but they had also answered hatred with justice and darkness with hope. The new order would not be perfect, but it would be just. And in the ruins of Harmony Colony, the wind still carried the ashes of dreams that had been destroyed but not forgotten, dreams that had been reborn in the stars as the foundation of a better galaxy.